In the vast history of humanity, some of the greatest mysteries remain hidden in plain sight, etched into the stones of ancient monuments and buried beneath the sands of time. Among these marvels, the Egyptian pyramids stand as the most iconic, massive structures that have puzzled historians, archaeologists, and engineers alike for centuries. How did the ancient Egyptians manage to build such colossal monuments with the seemingly limited technology available to them at the time? What secrets lie within their precise construction, and could they be evidence of lost technologies now forgotten? These questions have intrigued scholars and sparked debates for generations. While we often credit human ingenuity for the creation of these wonders, there's growing speculation that the technology and methods used to build these ancient structures may have been far more advanced than previously thought. This theory extends beyond Egypt, as other vanished civilizations, such as those in Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, and South America, also exhibit evidence of lost technologies that defy modern explanation. In this video, we'll embark on a journey to uncover the hidden secrets behind these ancient structures, with a special focus on the Egyptian pyramids. We'll explore controversial theories, surprising discoveries, and compelling case studies from across the globe. Along the way, we'll dive into the scientific and mathematical precision found in these ancient feats of engineering, revealing how their construction continues to challenge modern understanding. But this isn't just about architecture. It's about how entire civilizations, seemingly equipped with only basic tools, were able to achieve the impossible. From lost engineering methods and advanced mathematics to astronomical alignments and possible extraterrestrial influence, we'll piece together a puzzle that raises more questions than it answers. Why did these ancient technologies disappear, and how much knowledge was truly lost when these civilizations fell? As we dig deeper, we'll also explore the role of historical catastrophes, cultural changes, and even deliberate destruction of knowledge that may have led to the erasure of these advanced technologies from history. By the end of this journey, you'll have a fresh perspective on the achievements of these lost civilizations and a greater appreciation for the mysteries that continue to elude us. Could it be that ancient peoples understood aspects of the world, both physical and metaphysical, better than we do today? Or did they have access to knowledge that is now lost to time? One thing is certain: the deeper we delve into the past, the more we uncover just how much we still don't know. Stay with us as we uncover the lost ancient technologies that shaped the pyramids and vanished civilizations, peeling back the layers of history to reveal the true ingenuity, and perhaps the secrets, of the ancient world. The Egyptian pyramids, an engineering marvel. When we think about the ancient world, few structures capture the imagination like the Egyptian pyramids. Towering over the desert landscape, these immense stone monuments are not only a symbol of the pharaoh's power, but also a testament to the engineering prowess of an ancient civilization. The Great Pyramid of Giza, in particular, stands as a staggering example of precision and monumental ambition. But how did the Egyptians manage to construct such awe-inspiring structures without the advanced technology we rely on today? The construction of the pyramids presents a number of challenges that would be daunting even with modern equipment. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for Pharaoh Khufu around 4,500 years ago, originally stood at approximately 146.6 meters, 481 feet, tall and weighed an estimated 6.5 million tons. The pyramid consists of around 2.3 million limestone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons. These numbers alone highlight the sheer magnitude of the project, and they beg the question: how could ancient workers, using what we assume to be rudimentary tools, have achieved such precision and scale? The tools available to the Egyptians at the time were limited to basic copper chisels, wooden sleds, ropes, and manpower. These materials, though effective for certain tasks, would not seem sufficient for the level of engineering required to complete a project of this magnitude. Moving multi-ton stones, shaping them with near-perfect accuracy, and aligning them precisely with cardinal directions required ingenuity that many experts today struggle to explain. One of the most perplexing aspects of the pyramids is the precision with which they were constructed. The Great Pyramid, for example, is aligned with incredible accuracy to the four cardinal points: north, south, east, and west. The deviation from true north is only about 1/15 of a degree, an astonishing achievement for a civilization without modern surveying equipment. In addition, the base of the pyramid is nearly perfectly level, with an error margin of less than an inch across its entire 13-acre footprint. This level of precision rivals, and in some cases exceeds, modern construction standards. Another point of fascination is the uniformity of the stone blocks used in the construction. These massive stones, quarried from locations miles away, were cut to such precise measurements that they fit together almost seamlessly, without the use of mortar. Some stones are placed with gaps less than a millimeter wide, leading many to wonder what tools or techniques the Egyptians might have employed. Theories abound, ranging from advanced stone cutting tools to techniques that soften the stone, making it easier to shape and transport. But perhaps the greatest engineering challenge was moving these colossal stones into place. Without cranes, trucks, or hydraulic systems, how did the Egyptians transport and lift stones weighing several tons each? Theories suggest a combination of manpower, ramps, and sleds, but even these explanations fail to fully account for the logistics involved. Some scholars propose the use of sophisticated water-based systems, where canals were used to float the stones closer to the construction site. Others speculate that advanced knowledge of leverage and physics, possibly passed down from earlier, forgotten civilizations, could have played a role. The internal structure of the pyramids also reveals an astonishing level of engineering foresight. The Great Pyramid contains an intricate network of chambers and passageways, with the King's Chamber featuring enormous granite beams weighing up to 80 tons each, suspended high above the chamber. How these stones were lifted and placed with such precision remains one of the greatest mysteries of ancient construction. The pyramid builders also demonstrated an understanding of mathematics and geometry that far surpassed their time. The dimensions of the Great Pyramid, for instance, reflect knowledge of pi, and the golden ratio, principles that wouldn't be formally recognized for centuries. Some researchers suggest that this mathematical precision points to a deeper understanding of the universe that the Egyptians may have possessed, perhaps even a lost technology that enabled them to achieve such extraordinary feats. This leads us to one of the most intriguing and controversial questions. Did the ancient Egyptians possess knowledge or tools that have since been lost to history? The conventional explanation is that sheer human effort, ingenuity, and time, along with thousands of workers, made the construction of the pyramids possible. However, the precision and scale of the project raised doubts that we may not fully understand how it was accomplished. Could there have been a forgotten technique or tool, now lost to the ages, that allowed the Egyptians to construct these enduring monuments with such mastery? These mysteries, combined with the sheer ambition and scale of the project, continue to captivate researchers and enthusiasts alike. As we move forward in this exploration of lost ancient technologies, we will delve deeper into the tools, techniques, and knowledge that might have made these wonders possible. And perhaps, in doing so, we will begin to unravel the secrets behind not just the pyramids, but other marvels of the ancient world. Despite the incredible achievements of the ancient Egyptians, the mystery surrounding how they moved such large stones and constructed the pyramids with such precision continues to fuel debate. Scholars and engineers have tried to recreate various methods, but none seem to fully capture the ingenuity required for the task. One popular theory regarding the transportation of the pyramid's massive stones is the use of ramps. Archaeologists and engineers suggest that the ancient Egyptians could have built a system of ramps to move the stones into place. These ramps could have been made from mud brick, limestone chippings, or other materials, and they may have used a straight, zigzagging, or spiral design to elevate the blocks to the pyramid's higher levels. However, there are significant challenges with the ramp theory. For one, the sheer size of the ramps needed to reach the higher levels of the pyramid would have been monumental in their own right. A straight ramp, for instance, would have had to extend for miles to maintain a workable incline, requiring more material than the pyramid itself. Additionally, the logistical challenges of constantly extending and removing these ramps as the pyramid grew taller would have required an incredible amount of labor and resources. While ramps remain one of the most accepted theories, they do not fully explain the mystery. Another theory involves the use of lubricated sleds to transport the massive stones across the desert sands. Experiments have shown that dragging heavy stones on wooden sleds can be made significantly easier by wetting the sand in front of the sled. This reduces friction and allows the stones to slide more easily, potentially cutting the labor required in half. There is evidence that the Egyptians may have used this method, as paintings from tombs depict workers pouring water in front of sleds carrying large statues. However, this method still doesn't explain how the stones were lifted into place with such precision. Some researchers have proposed more unconventional methods, including the possibility that the Egyptians had access to lost technologies or techniques that have since been forgotten. For example, some theorists suggest that the Egyptians may have known how to use sound or vibration to move large objects. This idea, often referred to as sonic levitation, is based on anecdotal accounts of ancient cultures using sound to manipulate physical objects. While there is no direct evidence to support this theory, it does offer an intriguing possibility for how the Egyptians could have overcome the seemingly insurmountable task of pyramid construction. There's also the theory that water may have played a key role in the construction process. The Nile River, which flows close to the Giza Plateau, would have been an essential resource for transporting materials. Some researchers believe that the Egyptians used a system of canals to float the massive stone blocks from the quarries to the pyramid site. Supporting this theory, archaeologists have discovered remnants of ancient canals and harbors near the pyramids, suggesting that water transport may have been integral to the construction process. Once the stones reached the pyramid site, the next challenge was lifting them into place. This is where ancient engineering becomes even more impressive. Without cranes, hydraulic lifts, or modern machinery, the Egyptians would have needed to rely on sheer manpower, pulleys, and levers. Recent studies have shown that the use of counterweights, placing heavy stones on one side of a system to lift lighter materials on the other, could have been employed to raise the massive blocks into position. This technique, although simple in theory, would have required expert coordination and precise planning. Interestingly, the layout of the pyramids and the precision with which they were built also suggests a deep understanding of mathematics and geometry. The Great Pyramid of Giza's base, for instance, is almost perfectly square, with only a 58mm difference between the lengths of its sides. The angle of the pyramid's slopes is also remarkable. It is set at a perfect 51.5 degrees, which not only creates the pyramid's iconic shape but also maximizes its stability and longevity. Moreover, the Egyptians demonstrated knowledge of advanced geometric concepts, such as the golden ratio. Some researchers believe that the Great Pyramid's proportions are based on this mathematical principle, which is often found in nature and is thought to produce visually pleasing and harmonious structures. The fact that the Egyptians may have utilized such sophisticated mathematical knowledge in their architectural design suggests that they possessed a level of intellectual and technological sophistication far beyond what we typically associate with ancient civilizations. As we explore these theories, it becomes clear that there is no single explanation for how the pyramids were built. Instead, it is likely that a combination of methods, ramps, sleds, counterweights, and perhaps even some lost or forgotten techniques, were used in the construction process. But the level of precision and the scale of the project continue to raise more questions than answers. How did the Egyptians develop such advanced techniques? Were they building upon knowledge from an earlier, more advanced civilization? And if so, what happened to that knowledge? The mystery deepens when we consider that the pyramids are not the only ancient structures to demonstrate this level of precision and engineering skill. Across the world, other ancient civilizations also built monumental structures that seem to defy explanation, suggesting that the Egyptians may not have been the only ones to possess advanced knowledge. In the next section, we'll explore the tools and techniques that could have been used by the Egyptians and other ancient cultures, and consider whether they were working with technologies that have since been lost to time. Unveiling lost technology, tools and techniques. The tools and techniques used by ancient civilizations, particularly the Egyptians, have long been a subject of fascination. While archaeological discoveries have given us some insight into the tools they used, many questions remain unanswered about how these tools were able to accomplish such sophisticated feats. The most commonly found tools from ancient Egypt are relatively basic: copper chisels, stone hammers, and wooden mallets. These tools, while effective for small-scale projects, seem ill-equipped for the construction of colossal monuments like the pyramids. One of the greatest mysteries is how these tools were used to cut and shape the hard limestone and granite blocks that make up the pyramids. Granite, in particular, is extremely difficult to work with due to its hardness. Yet, the Egyptians were able to quarry and precisely shape enormous blocks of granite, some weighing as much as 80 tons. How could they achieve this with only copper tools, which are relatively soft by modern standards? This has led some researchers to speculate that the Egyptians may have had access to more advanced technologies or techniques that have since been lost to history. One theory is that the Egyptians may have used water-powered tools to assist in the cutting and shaping of stone. Water, when combined with abrasive materials like sand, can be a powerful tool for cutting stone. This method, known as abrasive water cutting, is used in modern industry to cut hard materials like granite and steel. Some theorists suggest that the Egyptians could have developed a primitive version of this technique, using water, sand, and basic machinery to cut through stone with greater precision and efficiency than copper chisels alone would allow. Another theory is that the Egyptians employed a form of thermal fracturing to cut their stone blocks. Thermal fracturing involves heating the stone to a high temperature and then rapidly cooling it with water, causing the stone to crack and break along natural lines. This method could explain how the Egyptians were able to quarry and shape such large blocks of granite with relatively simple tools. While there is no direct evidence that the Egyptians used this method, the principle is sound and could have been within the technological reach. Perhaps one of the most controversial theories is that the Egyptians used sound or vibration to move and shape stones. This idea, often referred to as sonic levitation, suggests that the Egyptians might have discovered how to manipulate sound waves to lift or move heavy objects. While this concept may seem far-fetched, there are ancient legends from various cultures that describe the use of sound to move massive stones. Some researchers point to ancient texts and carvings that depict strange instruments and rituals involving sound, suggesting that the Egyptians might have harnessed this energy in ways we do not fully understand today. Although the idea of sonic levitation is highly speculative, it does raise an interesting point. The ancient Egyptians may have had a more profound understanding of natural forces, such as sound, magnetism, or vibration, than we currently give them credit for. The precise alignment of the pyramids with cardinal directions, as well as the use of sacred geometry in their design, hints at a deep knowledge of the world around them, knowledge that may have included techniques for manipulating natural elements in ways that have been lost over time. Some researchers have also proposed the use of advanced machinery or even lost forms of technology to explain the precision and scale of ancient Egyptian construction. For instance, could the Egyptians have had access to mechanical systems that we have yet to discover? It's possible that wooden cranes, counterweight systems, or other forms of simple machines were used in more sophisticated ways than we imagine. While archaeological evidence of such machinery is scarce, the complexity of the pyramids and other ancient structures suggests that the Egyptians were highly inventive and resourceful, using whatever means were available to them to achieve their goals. This leads to a broader question. Could some of the technologies used by the Egyptians, and perhaps other ancient civilizations, have been lost to history due to invasions, natural disasters, or the passage of time? The loss of knowledge is a well-documented phenomenon in human history. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria, for example, is often cited as one of the greatest intellectual losses in history. It's possible that records of ancient technologies or techniques were lost in similar events, leaving us with only fragments of the knowledge once possessed by these great civilizations. While the possibility of lost technologies is fascinating, it's equally important to consider how other ancient civilizations might have contributed to, or even shared, similar tools and techniques. The Egyptian pyramids are not the only architectural marvels that raise questions about advanced ancient technology. Around the world, several other ancient cultures constructed monumental structures with incredible precision, often using methods that remain mysterious to this day. The similarities between these cultures' achievements suggest that some of the techniques or knowledge might have been shared or passed down across different regions of the ancient world. Take, for example, the stonework of the Inca civilization in South America. The Incas are known for their incredible masonry, particularly at sites like Sacsayhuaman, Machu Picchu, and Ollantaytambo. At these sites, enormous stones were carved and fitted together with such precision that not even a blade of grass can be inserted between them. What's more, the stones were shaped in such irregular patterns that they interlocked like puzzle pieces, making the structures incredibly resistant to earthquakes. Like the Egyptians, the Incas did not have access to advanced metal tools, yet they achieved remarkable feats of engineering. This raises the question, could there have been a common pool of knowledge or shared techniques among ancient civilizations, allowing them to accomplish such impressive feats of stonework? Some researchers suggest that ancient peoples may have had a more advanced understanding of material science and engineering than we previously thought. This knowledge could have been passed through cultural exchanges, trade, or even migration. There is evidence to suggest that ancient civilizations, while isolated geographically, were more interconnected than we often assume. Archaeological finds of shared cultural artifacts, such as pottery and tools, indicate that long-distance trade and interaction between different civilizations were more common than once believed. One controversial theory posits that a global seafaring civilization, predating the Egyptians and the Incas, could have shared technological knowledge across vast distances. According to this theory, an advanced society, sometimes referred to as the Atlanteans, after the legendary lost city of Atlantis, may have existed thousands of years before recorded history and spread its knowledge to other emerging civilizations. Proponents of this theory point to similarities in the construction of megalithic structures around the world, from Egypt to South America, and even to sites in Asia, such as the ancient temples of Cambodia and the pyramids of China. Could these structures be evidence of a forgotten global civilization, or are the similarities merely coincidental? Though the Atlantean theory remains speculative and controversial, the similarities in ancient construction techniques across different cultures are undeniable. For instance, the ancient Greeks and Romans, who flourished long after the pyramids were built, employed advanced engineering principles that are still studied today. The Greeks' Parthenon and the Romans' aqueducts demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of load distribution, water management, and material durability. Some historians suggest that this knowledge could have originated from earlier civilizations, possibly including the Egyptians. But what if the Egyptians were not just influenced by others but were themselves the originators of certain lost technologies? Some researchers believe that the Egyptians may have developed a deeper understanding of natural forces, such as magnetism or gravitational principles, that allowed them to manipulate massive stones with greater ease. For example, there are unverified accounts from the early 20th century suggesting that local Egyptian stonemasons knew techniques for making stone blocks appear weightless, enabling them to move large stones with minimal effort. These accounts, while anecdotal, raise intriguing possibilities about forgotten techniques that may have been passed down orally for centuries before disappearing completely. One of the most striking examples of potentially lost technology is the use of liquid stone in construction. Some researchers have theorized that the Egyptians, rather than cutting and transporting massive blocks of limestone, may have used a form of early concrete or geopolymer to create their stones directly on site. This theory, proposed by French materials scientist Joseph Davidovits, suggests that the Egyptians could have cast the stone blocks in place using a mixture of limestone, water, and binding agents. While this idea remains controversial, there is some chemical evidence that certain pyramid stones differ from naturally quarried limestone, supporting the possibility that the Egyptians may have developed their own version of concrete long before the Romans. The idea of using liquid stone would certainly explain some of the more puzzling aspects of pyramid construction, such as the incredible precision of the stone blocks and their seamless fit. It would also reduce the need for large labor forces to transport massive stones over long distances. However, this theory challenges the conventional understanding of ancient Egyptian construction methods, which is largely based on the assumption that the stones were quarried and transported using only simple tools and brute force. If the Egyptians did indeed possess a form of early concrete, it would represent a significant technological leap, one that might have been lost as Egypt's empire declined. The notion that ancient civilizations had access to lost or advanced technologies is not just limited to construction techniques. Many researchers believe that these civilizations may have possessed advanced knowledge in other areas, such as astronomy, medicine, and even electricity. There are numerous examples of ancient inventions that seem out of place in the historical timeline, such as the Baghdad battery, an ancient device that some believe could have been used to generate electricity. Could the Egyptians have had access to similar technologies, enabling them to achieve their architectural feats? While mainstream archaeology continues to emphasize the ingenuity of ancient peoples using relatively simple tools, these alternative theories about lost technologies open the door to new possibilities. Whether through forgotten machinery, advanced knowledge of physics, or techniques that have been lost to time, it is clear that the Egyptians, and other ancient civilizations, were capable of far more than we often give them credit for. Forgotten civilizations beyond Egypt. While the Egyptian pyramids often take center stage in discussions about lost ancient technologies, they are far from the only evidence of advanced engineering from forgotten civilizations. Across the globe, ancient cultures left behind monumental structures and achievements that continue to baffle modern scholars. In this section, we will explore some of these other ancient civilizations, each with their own unique accomplishments and mysterious technologies, suggesting that the Egyptians were not an isolated case of advanced ancient knowledge. One of the most intriguing of these civilizations is the ancient city of Teotihuacan in present-day Mexico. Known as the City of the Gods, Teotihuacan was one of the largest cities in the world during its peak around 500 AD. The city's layout is astonishing in its precision and scale, featuring massive pyramidal structures, including the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. The entire city appears to have been designed with an advanced understanding of urban planning, with streets laid out in a grid pattern and buildings aligned with astronomical phenomena, such as the rising and setting of celestial bodies. The construction of the pyramids in Teotihuacan raises many of the same questions as those of Egypt. How did an ancient civilization, with no evidence of advanced metal tools or machinery, manage to build such enormous and precise structures? Some researchers believe that Teotihuacan's builders possessed advanced knowledge of materials and construction techniques that allowed them to create structures with remarkable durability. Even today, the Pyramid of the Sun remains one of the largest pyramids in the world, second only to the Great Pyramid of Giza in terms of volume. Like the Egyptians, the people of Teotihuacan demonstrated a deep understanding of mathematics and astronomy. The Pyramid of the Sun, for example, is aligned to the point where the sun sets on specific days of the year, such as the spring equinox. Additionally, the dimensions of the pyramid correspond to mathematical principles that are remarkably sophisticated for an ancient culture. Some theorists suggest that these astronomical alignments were not just symbolic but served practical purposes, perhaps aiding in agriculture or the tracking of time. Moving across the world to South Asia, we encounter another mysterious and highly advanced civilization, the Indus Valley Civilization. Flourishing around 3300 to 1300 BC in what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, the Indus Valley Civilization was one of the most advanced urban cultures of the ancient world. Their cities, such as Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, featured impressive engineering feats, including sophisticated drainage systems, brick-lined streets, and standardized weights and measures. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Indus Valley Civilization was its advanced urban planning. The streets of their cities were laid out in perfect grids, with wide avenues and smaller residential streets, a feature that would not become common in European cities until thousands of years later. In addition, their drainage and sewage systems were unparalleled in the ancient world, indicating a deep understanding of water management and hygiene. The bricks used in their construction were uniform in size and shape, suggesting a high level of standardization in their building practices, which would have required significant technological and organizational advances. Despite their remarkable achievements, much of the Indus Valley Civilization's history remains a mystery. Their written language, known as the Indus script, has never been deciphered, leaving us with limited insight into their knowledge and technologies. However, their cities stand as evidence of a highly advanced society that possessed technological and engineering capabilities far beyond what might be expected from such an ancient culture. Like the Egyptians, the disappearance of the Indus Valley Civilization's technological knowledge remains one of history's great mysteries. Was their knowledge passed down to later civilizations, or did it vanish with the decline of their cities? Another civilization that demonstrates striking technological prowess is the Minoans, who inhabited the island of Crete during the Bronze Age, approximately 2600 to 1100 BC. The Minoans are often overshadowed by their contemporaries, such as the Egyptians and the Mesopotamians, but their architectural achievements were no less impressive. The Minoans built intricate palace complexes, such as the one at Knossos, which featured multi-story buildings, advanced plumbing systems, and even what some scholars believe to be the earliest known example of an air conditioning system. The Minoans also demonstrated a deep understanding of materials science. They created beautifully crafted pottery and frescoes, many of which have survived to the present day due to the advanced techniques they used in their creation. Like the Egyptians and the Indus Valley Civilization, the Minoans were highly skilled in water management, constructing elaborate aqueducts and drainage systems that were far ahead of their time. However, much of their technological knowledge seems to have been lost after the collapse of their civilization, likely due to natural disasters and invasions. What connects these ancient civilizations, whether in Mexico, South Asia, or the Mediterranean, is their ability to achieve feats of engineering and urban planning that rival or surpass many modern accomplishments. Despite the geographical distances between them, they all demonstrate a profound understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and construction, often using techniques that we still struggle to fully understand. Could there have been an exchange of knowledge between these cultures, or did each civilization develop its own unique technologies that were later lost? As we continue to explore these forgotten civilizations, it becomes clear that the Egyptians were not alone in their mastery of advanced engineering. From the pyramids of Teotihuacan to the cities of the Indus Valley and the palaces of the Minoans, the ancient world was full of technological achievements that continue to inspire wonder and speculation. As we examine these ancient civilizations and their remarkable technological feats, one striking commonality is the eventual disappearance of their advanced knowledge. Whether through natural disasters, invasions, or the slow erosion of cultural continuity, much of the wisdom that allowed these societies to flourish has been lost to time. This raises an important question. Why did these technologies vanish, and what caused the downfall of these once great civilizations? In the case of the Indus Valley civilization, one of the most commonly cited causes of its decline is climate change. Evidence suggests that shifts in monsoon patterns led to droughts, severely impacting agriculture and water supplies. As a result, the cities of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa were abandoned, and the advanced urban infrastructure they built was lost. With no written records to explain what happened, much of their knowledge likely disappeared along with the civilization itself. The remnants of their cities serve as a haunting reminder of a society that was ahead of its time in terms of planning, architecture, and technology, yet fell victim to forces beyond its control. The Minoans, on the other hand, are believed to have been undone by a combination of natural disasters and external pressures. The volcanic eruption on the nearby island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, around 1600 BC was one of the most catastrophic events in human history, sending tsunamis crashing into the Minoan cities and severely disrupting their economy and way of life. Some historians believe that the eruption and its aftermath led to a weakening of the Minoan society, making them vulnerable to invasion by the Mycenaeans, a Greek civilization that eventually absorbed much of Minoan culture. This pattern of decline due to natural disasters, environmental change, or external invasion is seen in many ancient civilizations. The Mayans, for example, built a vast empire across Mesoamerica, known for its towering temples, advanced calendar systems, and achievements in mathematics and astronomy. Yet, by the 9th century AD, the Mayan cities were largely abandoned, and their technological advancements fell into obscurity. While several theories exist regarding the collapse of the Mayan civilization, including warfare, environmental degradation, and drought, the exact cause remains a subject of debate. What is clear, however, is that the loss of their cities also led to the disappearance of much of their knowledge. Another example of a technologically advanced society that experienced a sudden collapse is that of the ancestral Pueblones, also known as the Anasazi, of the American Southwest. This civilization, which flourished between 900 and 1300 AD, built intricate cliff dwellings and sophisticated irrigation systems in what is now Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Their architecture, including the famous Cliff Palace in Mesa Verde, demonstrates a deep understanding of environmental adaptation and resource management. However, by the 14th century, the ancestral Pueblones had abandoned their settlements. The reasons for this are still debated, but a combination of drought, resource depletion, and conflict is thought to have played a role. Like the Indus Valley and Mayan civilizations, the ancestral Pueblones left behind impressive architectural and engineering achievements, but much of their knowledge was lost as their society disintegrated. Beyond natural disasters and environmental shifts, the destruction of knowledge through human actions also played a significant role in the loss of ancient technologies. Perhaps the most famous example of this is the burning of the Library of Alexandria in Egypt. The library, founded in the 3rd century BC, was one of the largest and most significant centers of knowledge in the ancient world. It housed thousands of scrolls and texts on topics ranging from mathematics and astronomy to philosophy and medicine. The exact circumstances of its destruction remain unclear, with multiple historical accounts attributing it to different events, including accidental fires, Roman invasions, and religious conflicts. Regardless of how it happened, the loss of the Library of Alexandria marked a significant setback in human knowledge, as countless works of science, engineering, and history were forever lost. This theme of lost knowledge extends beyond individual events like the destruction of the Library of Alexandria. Throughout history, as empires rose and fell, many other libraries, workshops, and schools of thought were destroyed or neglected, leading to the erasure of entire fields of knowledge. In many cases, the invading civilizations lacked the understanding or interest in preserving the technological advancements of those they conquered. The knowledge that had once driven these civilizations forward often faded into obscurity, only to be rediscovered centuries later, if at all. In examining the fall of these once great civilizations and the loss of their technologies, one thing becomes clear: human progress is not always linear. The knowledge and innovations of the past were not always passed down from one generation to the next. Instead, much of it was lost, only to be rediscovered, or remain lost forever, by later civilizations. This raises the possibility that the ancient world may have harbored advanced technologies and knowledge that were far more sophisticated than we currently understand. The disappearance of these civilizations, and the destruction of their knowledge, has left us with only glimpses of what they may have achieved. As we explore these forgotten civilizations, it is important to consider that their achievements were not isolated to their respective regions. Whether through trade, migration, or shared cultural exchanges, it is likely that many ancient societies benefited from a broader network of knowledge that transcended geographical boundaries. This brings us to the question of whether there was a global exchange of technological knowledge in ancient times, one that allowed different civilizations to achieve similar feats of engineering, construction, and scientific advancement. Secrets buried in time. Why did these technologies vanish? One of the most perplexing mysteries of ancient civilizations is why their advanced technologies and knowledge seem to vanish, often without leaving a clear trace. As we've seen with Egypt, the Indus Valley, the Minoans, and many others, these societies demonstrated incredible feats of engineering, architecture, and scientific understanding, yet much of their knowledge has been lost to history. So what exactly caused this disappearance of knowledge, and why were some of these ancient technologies never passed on to future generations? There are several factors that likely contributed to the vanishing of ancient technologies, and the most prominent of these is the collapse of the civilizations themselves. When a civilization experiences a sudden and catastrophic decline, whether due to war, natural disaster, or internal strife, the institutions that safeguard and transmit knowledge are often the first to fall. Schools, libraries, and workshops where knowledge was recorded and shared may have been destroyed, and the people who held that knowledge either perished or were scattered, taking their expertise with them. In many cases, the fall of a great civilization led to a period of cultural and technological regression. For example, the fall of the Roman Empire led to what is often referred to as the Dark Ages in Europe, a time when much of the knowledge accumulated by the Greeks and Romans was lost or forgotten. Scientific and technological progress slowed significantly during this period, and it wasn't until the Renaissance, centuries later, that Europe began to recover and rediscover the knowledge of the ancient world. Could similar regressions have occurred with other civilizations, where once advanced knowledge was lost in the aftermath of collapse, setting back progress by hundreds or even thousands of years? Another factor in the disappearance of ancient technologies is the intentional suppression or destruction of knowledge. Throughout history, conquering civilizations have often sought to erase the culture and achievements of the societies they defeated. In some cases, this was done through the physical destruction of texts, artifacts, and monuments, as seen with the burning of the Library of Alexandria. In other cases, it was done through cultural or religious suppression, where certain knowledge or practices were banned or deemed heretical. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the Americas, for example, they destroyed countless Mayan codices, erasing much of the Mayans' knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. Religious shifts also played a significant role in the loss of ancient technologies. As new religious ideologies spread across regions, old belief systems and their associated practices were often abandoned. This shift in belief sometimes led to the dismissal of the technologies or techniques associated with those systems. The rise of monotheistic religions in particular often resulted in the destruction of temples, statues, and libraries dedicated to older polytheistic traditions, which in turn led to the loss of the knowledge tied to these cultural practices. The suppression of knowledge in the name of religion is a phenomenon seen across many historical periods and regions, contributing to the loss of potentially valuable technological insights. But natural disasters also played a significant role. Sudden earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and flooding often devastated cities and entire regions, disrupting not only the infrastructure but also the intellectual and cultural life that allowed technological progress to flourish. The Minoans, for instance, may have been a victim of such natural catastrophes, leading to the loss of their knowledge. In addition to the collapse of civilizations, intentional suppression, and natural disasters, there's another factor to consider: the simple passage of time. Human history is full of examples where, over generations, knowledge was either not passed down or was misinterpreted. This gradual loss of knowledge could occur because the need for specific technologies diminished as societies evolved. For instance, once a particular construction technique or tool was no longer essential for survival or societal function, the knowledge of how to create or use it could fade from memory. Take the Egyptian pyramids themselves as an example. After the construction of the last major pyramids, Egypt entered different eras where monumental construction techniques changed, often focusing more on temples and tombs carved into rock faces, such as the Valley of the Kings. Over time, the specialized knowledge and tools used to build the pyramids may have become obsolete or deemed unnecessary, leading to a natural decline in their use and eventual disappearance from common practice. Another contributing factor to the loss of ancient knowledge is the fragility of the materials used to record it. Many ancient civilizations recorded their scientific and technological advances on perishable materials like papyrus, parchment, or wooden tablets. These materials are extremely vulnerable to decay, fire, and water damage. Without proper preservation, much of this recorded knowledge was lost to time. Even in cases where stone inscriptions or carvings were used, weathering and erosion could gradually erase these valuable records. Thus, while the physical evidence of ancient technologies, such as monumental structures, may remain, the detailed written knowledge of how they were created has often disappeared. In some cases, technological knowledge may have been preserved but later misinterpreted or misunderstood by future generations. As societies evolve, the context and purpose behind certain technologies can become unclear, especially if records are incomplete or lacking. When this happens, future civilizations may fail to recognize the significance of certain discoveries or advancements. For example, during the Middle Ages in Europe, many Greek and Roman scientific texts were rediscovered, but the mathematical and astronomical concepts contained within them were often misunderstood or overlooked until the Renaissance, when scholars were able to reinterpret these ideas in a way that made sense to their contemporary understanding. Additionally, there is the intriguing possibility that some technologies were intentionally kept secret or reserved for the elite, which could have contributed to their eventual disappearance. In ancient Egypt, for example, the priestly class had access to specialized knowledge related to astronomy, medicine, and engineering that was not widely shared with the general population. If this knowledge was passed down only among a select few and was not properly documented or disseminated, it could easily have been lost if the custodians of that knowledge were displaced or died out. Similarly, many ancient civilizations had secret societies or guilds that guarded specialized skills, whether it was stone masonry, metallurgy, or construction. The secrecy surrounding these techniques may have contributed to their disappearance when those societies dissolved. Furthermore, the selective nature of knowledge preservation can be seen in ancient societies that prioritized specific fields while neglecting others. Civilizations often focused on what they deemed most essential for their current needs, be it military, religious, or agricultural advancements. As a result, less emphasis may have been placed on preserving knowledge that did not directly serve immediate societal concerns, such as advanced engineering or scientific experimentation. Over time, the neglect of these areas would lead to the erosion of the technological advancements tied to them. The loss of these ancient technologies leaves us with many tantalizing questions. Did these civilizations possess a deeper understanding of the world than we give them credit for? Were they experimenting with natural forces, such as magnetism, electricity, or sound waves, that modern science is only now beginning to rediscover? While it is impossible to know for certain, the disappearance of these technologies suggests that human progress is not always a steady march forward, but rather a series of advances and setbacks, with some knowledge lost to the sands of time. Ancient astronomy and mathematics. Guiding the builders. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient civilizations is their profound understanding of astronomy and mathematics, which played a crucial role in guiding the construction of monumental structures like the Egyptian pyramids. These early societies were not just skilled in manual labor, they were also remarkably sophisticated in their ability to observe the cosmos and apply mathematical principles to their designs. Many of the greatest architectural achievements of antiquity are closely aligned with astronomical events, suggesting that the ancients possessed a deep knowledge of the stars and their movements. The Egyptian pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, offer some of the most compelling evidence of this astronomical knowledge. The precision with which the pyramid is aligned with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, has long baffled researchers. The Great Pyramid is aligned with such accuracy that its deviation from true north is less than 1 degree, an achievement that would be difficult even with modern surveying tools. How could a civilization with no access to GPS or modern compasses achieve such precision? One theory is that the ancient Egyptians used the stars to guide their construction. It is believed that they aligned the pyramids with the position of certain stars, particularly those in the constellation of Orion. Orion's belt, a prominent feature in the night sky, may have held special significance for the Egyptians, as they associated it with the god Osiris, the deity of the afterlife. By tracking the movement of these stars over time, the Egyptians could have calculated the exact orientation needed to align their pyramids with the heavens. This astronomical alignment was not merely symbolic, it had practical implications as well. Many ancient civilizations, including the Egyptians, based their agricultural and religious calendars on the movement of the stars. The rising of Sirius, for instance, heralded the annual flooding of the Nile, which was crucial for sustaining Egyptian agriculture. By aligning their monumental structures with celestial events, the Egyptians could synchronize their architectural endeavors with the rhythms of the natural world, ensuring that their buildings stood in harmony with the cosmos. In addition to their mastery of astronomy, the Egyptians demonstrated an advanced understanding of mathematics, particularly geometry. The Great Pyramid's design incorporates complex mathematical principles, including pi, and the golden ratio, both of which are seen in the proportions of the pyramid's dimensions. For example, if you divide the perimeter of the pyramid's base by its height, the result is close to 2 pi. Suggesting that the builders had an intuitive grasp of these mathematical constants long before they were formally recognized. Similarly, the pyramid's height and the length of its base seem to follow the principles of the golden ratio, a mathematical ratio often associated with aesthetically pleasing and naturally occurring proportions. The fact that the Egyptians incorporated such advanced mathematical concepts into their architecture hints at a deep knowledge of geometry, likely developed through years of observation and experimentation. This mastery of mathematics allowed him to create structures of immense scale and precision, many of which have survived thousands of years, defying the ravages of time and natural disasters. The alignment of the Egyptian pyramids with celestial bodies and the incorporation of complex mathematical principles are not isolated phenomena. Across the ancient world, other civilizations demonstrated similar mastery over astronomy and mathematics in their architectural projects. This raises an intriguing question. Did these civilizations independently develop these skills, or was there a shared pool of astronomical and mathematical knowledge that crossed cultural and geographical boundaries? For instance, in South America, the ancient city of Machu Picchu, built by the Inca civilization, exhibits similar astronomical alignments. The structures at Machu Picchu are aligned with significant celestial events, such as the solstices. The Intihuatana stone, often referred to as a hitching post of the sun, was used to mark the exact dates of the solstices and other astronomical events. The Incas, like the Egyptians, were deeply connected to the cosmos, using the stars and the movement of celestial bodies to guide both their religious practices and agricultural activities. The precision of these alignments demonstrates that, despite being on opposite sides of the world, both the Incas and Egyptians had developed an impressive understanding of the heavens and its practical applications. Another example can be found in the ancient structures of Stonehenge in England. While its exact purpose remains the subject of debate, Stonehenge's alignment with the summer and winter solstices indicates that its builders had a deep understanding of the sun's movements. Like the pyramids, Stonehenge aligns perfectly with astronomical events, suggesting that ancient peoples, whether in Egypt, South America, or Europe, were keenly aware of the natural cycles of the cosmos and built their structures to reflect this knowledge. This knowledge of astronomy went hand in hand with a sophisticated understanding of geometry and mathematics. For example, in ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians developed a system of mathematics based on the number 60, which led to the creation of the 360-degree circle and the 60-minute hour that we still use today. The Babylonians, who succeeded the Sumerians, further refined this system and applied it to astronomy, creating detailed star charts and predicting the movement of celestial bodies with remarkable accuracy. They used this knowledge not only to plan their calendars but also to construct buildings and monuments with precise measurements and proportions, much like the Egyptians. In fact, the mathematical knowledge displayed by these ancient cultures suggests that they may have been much more advanced than we give them credit for. There is even speculation among some researchers that certain mathematical principles, such as pi and the golden ratio, were universally understood in the ancient world, and that these civilizations may have exchanged knowledge through trade or exploration. Evidence of shared cultural and technological exchanges has been found in various artifacts, such as similar pottery designs, tools, and even architectural techniques, linking cultures that were previously thought to have been isolated from one another. The application of geometry in these ancient structures goes beyond simple aesthetic considerations. The precise angles, measurements, and ratios used in the construction of the pyramids, Machu Picchu, and Stonehenge were essential to ensuring the stability and durability of these monuments. For example, the Great Pyramid's use of the golden ratio not only made the structure visually harmonious but also contributed to its stability by evenly distributing weight and stress. This geometric precision has allowed the pyramids to withstand thousands of years of earthquakes, floods, and erosion, standing as a testament to the ingenuity of their builders. What is remarkable is that many of these civilizations, separated by vast distances and cultural differences, seem to have arrived at similar conclusions about the importance of astronomy and mathematics in construction. The alignment of structures with celestial bodies, the incorporation of mathematical constants like pi and the golden ratio, and the use of geometry to ensure structural stability suggest that these societies possessed a shared understanding of certain universal principles. Modern discoveries, evidence of lost technologies in recent years, modern archaeological discoveries have shed new light on the possibility that ancient civilizations may have had access to advanced technologies that we are only now beginning to understand. These discoveries offer tantalizing glimpses of what could be considered lost technologies, suggesting that these ancient cultures possessed knowledge far more sophisticated than previously thought. While traditional archaeology has often emphasized human ingenuity using rudimentary tools, recent findings challenge this view, hinting at technological achievements that rival those of the modern age. One of the most compelling examples of a lost ancient technology comes from the site of Göbekli Tepe, a prehistoric temple complex located in present-day Turkey. Dating back to around 9600 BC, Göbekli Tepe is considered one of the oldest known monumental structures in the world, predating Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids by several millennia. The sheer size and complexity of the stone pillars at Göbekli Tepe, some weighing up to 20 tons, suggest that the people who built it had a deep understanding of engineering and construction techniques. What makes this site even more remarkable is that it was built by hunter-gatherer societies, long before the advent of agriculture or settled urban life. How these early humans were able to organize such a massive construction project, without the use of metal tools or the wheel, remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Another intriguing discovery comes from the site of Puma Punku, part of the ancient Tiwanaku complex in Bolivia. Puma Punku is famous for its precisely cut stone blocks, some of which weigh several tons and fit together with astonishing accuracy, almost like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. The precision of the cuts and the smoothness of the surfaces have led some researchers to speculate that the builders of Puma Punku may have used advanced tools or techniques that are no longer known today. Some have suggested that these stones could have been cut with high-powered saws or even some form of ancient laser technology, though this remains speculative, as there is no direct evidence of such tools. The site of Baalbek in Lebanon offers another example of ancient engineering that defies easy explanation. The massive stones used in the construction of the Temple of Jupiter, some weighing as much as 1,000 tons, are the largest ever used in any ancient structure. Even with modern machinery, moving and placing stones of this size would be an enormous challenge, yet the builders of Baalbek managed to not only move these stones but position them with incredible precision. How they accomplished this feat remains unknown. The stones at Baalbek have fueled theories that ancient civilizations may have possessed machinery or methods of moving massive objects that have since been lost to time. In addition to these monumental sites, smaller artifacts have also hinted at the existence of lost technologies. The Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece, is an ancient mechanical device thought to be an early analog computer. Dating back to around 100 BC, the mechanism was used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses with remarkable accuracy. Its complexity stunned researchers, as nothing else like it was known to exist until well over 1,000 years later. These examples, among others, suggest that ancient peoples were capable of far more advanced technological feats than previously believed. Whether through lost tools, forgotten techniques, or knowledge that was kept secret and eventually disappeared, it seems increasingly likely that ancient civilizations possessed technologies that we are only now beginning to rediscover. In addition to these monumental sites and artifacts, evidence of lost technologies can also be found in the realm of ancient metallurgy and engineering. The ancient world was home to impressive advancements in metalworking that challenge conventional timelines of technological development. One such example is the Iron Pillar of Delhi, an engineering marvel that has baffled scientists for centuries. Standing at over 7 meters tall and weighing more than 6 tons, the pillar is made of nearly pure iron. What makes this artifact remarkable is its resistance to rust and corrosion, despite being over 1,600 years old and exposed to the harsh elements of India's climate. Modern metallurgists have studied the pillar extensively, but they have not been able to fully explain how ancient Indian blacksmiths were able to create such an advanced form of rust-resistant iron. This discovery raises the possibility that ancient metallurgists may have had access to techniques and formulas that were lost with the passage of time. While we have modern methods of creating stainless steel, the specific process used to create the iron pillar's unique composition is still not fully understood. Some researchers speculate that the ironworkers of ancient India may have developed their own methods for creating durable metals, a technology that was either lost or forgotten as the region's cultural and technological priorities shifted. Similarly, the ancient Romans demonstrated an impressive mastery of materials that is only recently being fully appreciated by modern science. Roman concrete, used in structures like the Pantheon and aqueducts, has proven to be far more durable than modern concrete. Unlike today's concrete, which can degrade over a few decades, Roman concrete has endured for millennia, resisting cracking and weathering even in harsh environments. Recent studies suggest that the secret lies in the volcanic ash used in the mixture, which reacts with seawater to strengthen the material over time. Despite this discovery, the exact formulation and techniques used by the Romans are still not entirely clear, suggesting that they may have possessed a deeper understanding of material science than was passed down through history. In addition to construction and metallurgy, there are also indications that ancient civilizations may have had an understanding of electricity. One of the most controversial examples of this is the so-called Baghdad Battery, an artifact discovered in Iraq and dated to around 200 BC. The artifact consists of a clay jar with an iron rod and a copper cylinder inside, and some researchers believe it could have been used as a primitive galvanic cell, capable of generating a small electrical charge. If true, this would suggest that ancient peoples had some knowledge of electrical phenomena long before it was officially discovered in the modern era. However, the true purpose of the Baghdad Battery remains the subject of debate. Some scholars argue that it could have been used for electroplating, a technique to coat metal objects with gold or silver, while others suggest that it might have had a religious or symbolic use. Regardless of its purpose, the existence of such an artifact raises intriguing possibilities about the technological capabilities of ancient cultures and the knowledge they possessed about natural forces like electricity. Another fascinating discovery comes from the ancient Egyptian temple at Dendera, where carvings on the walls depict what some believe to be a form of ancient light bulb, known as the Dendera light. These carvings show figures holding large, bulb-like objects with filaments inside, connected to a source of energy. While mainstream archaeologists interpret these carvings as religious symbols, others have speculated that the Egyptians might have had some form of electrical lighting technology. Though this theory remains highly controversial, it points to the broader question of whether ancient peoples had access to technologies that were later lost or deliberately hidden. The combination of these modern discoveries, from advanced metallurgy and durable materials to possible evidence of electrical knowledge, suggests that ancient civilizations may have achieved technological feats that are only now being rediscovered or understood by modern science. These lost technologies not only challenge our understanding of the ancient world but also raise the possibility that humanity has experienced periods of technological advancement that were later forgotten, leaving us with only remnants of their achievements. Theories and controversies. Were the pyramids built by an unknown civilization? The construction of the Egyptian pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, has long been a subject of fascination and debate. While mainstream archaeology attributes their construction to the ancient Egyptians during the 4th dynasty, around 2500 BC, there is a growing body of alternative theories suggesting that the pyramids may have been built by an even older, unknown civilization with access to advanced technologies that have since been lost to time. These theories, while controversial, challenge conventional wisdom and open up intriguing possibilities about the origins of these iconic structures. One of the most popular alternative theories posits that the pyramids were not built by the Egyptians alone, but by an earlier advanced civilization that predates the rise of ancient Egypt. Proponents of this theory point to various anomalies in the construction of the pyramids that suggest the Egyptians may have inherited these structures rather than built them from scratch. For instance, the level of precision involved in the construction of the Great Pyramid is difficult to explain using the tools and techniques that were available at the time. The stones are not only massive, but they are also cut and placed with such accuracy that it rivals modern construction methods. Could an earlier civilization, one with access to forgotten technologies, have been responsible for these feats? Supporters of this theory often point to the lack of documentation or detailed records about the construction of the pyramids. While the Egyptians were meticulous record keepers, no detailed blueprints or plans for the construction of the pyramids have been found. The absence of written records describing the logistics, methods, and timeline of the pyramid's construction has led some to speculate that the Egyptians merely took credit for structures that were already standing when they rose to power. In this view, the Egyptians may have used the pyramids as burial tombs and religious monuments, but the original builders remain a mystery. Another argument in favor of the unknown civilization theory revolves around the geological evidence found at the Giza Plateau. Some researchers, such as geologist Robert Schoch, have proposed that the Sphinx, which sits near the pyramids, shows signs of water erosion that could only have occurred thousands of years before the conventional dating of the pyramids. Schoch's theory suggests that the Sphinx and possibly the pyramids themselves could be much older than mainstream archaeology believes, potentially dating back to a time when heavy rains were common in the region, which would place their construction long before the rise of ancient Egypt. If the pyramids and the Sphinx are older than we think, this raises the possibility that an earlier civilization, now lost to history, may have been responsible for their construction. This civilization could have had advanced knowledge of engineering, astronomy, and mathematics, allowing them to create structures that still stand as marvels of human achievement. Some theorists suggest that the remnants of this civilization may have influenced not only the Egyptians but also other ancient cultures, such as the Mesopotamians and Mesoamericans, who also built pyramidal structures with astonishing precision. Adding to the intrigue, there are several unexplained features of the pyramids that challenge our understanding of how they were built. For example, the Great Pyramid shafts are aligned with certain stars in the sky, such as those in Orion's belt, with an accuracy that would have required sophisticated astronomical knowledge. Additionally, the pyramid's internal chambers are arranged in a way that suggests an understanding of complex geometry and possibly even acoustic principles. Some researchers have speculated that the pyramid's shape and internal structure may have been designed to harness natural energy or vibrations from the Earth, a concept that is difficult to reconcile with what we know about the ancient Egyptians' technological capabilities. One of the more speculative theories suggests that the pyramids were not merely tombs or monuments but served a far more advanced purpose. According to this theory, the pyramids may have functioned as energy generators, using a combination of geometry, materials, and possibly even the Earth's electromagnetic field to produce energy. Some proponents of this idea point to the fact that the Great Pyramid contains no traces of soot or smoke from torches, suggesting that the Egyptians may have had access to some form of light or energy that we do not fully understand. While this theory is highly speculative and lacks concrete evidence, it illustrates the growing interest in alternative explanations for the purpose and construction of the pyramids. Extraterrestrial theories also abound, suggesting that the pyramids were either built by or with the assistance of beings from another planet. While this idea is often dismissed by mainstream archaeology, it remains a popular theory among alternative researchers. Those who subscribe to this theory argue that the precision, scale, and alignment of the pyramids are too advanced to have been achieved by a human civilization of that time, suggesting that an extraterrestrial influence could explain the technological leap required to build such structures. This theory is often linked to the idea that early civilizations, such as the Egyptians, were visited by advanced beings who passed on their knowledge before disappearing. While the extraterrestrial theory is difficult to prove and highly controversial, it reflects a broader question that has fascinated humanity for centuries. Could there have been contact between ancient civilizations and otherworldly beings? This idea, though often dismissed as science fiction, continues to captivate the imaginations of those who believe that the pyramids represent more than just human ingenuity. They represent a connection to a larger, more mysterious cosmos. Critics of the unknown civilization theory argue that there is no need to invoke lost civilizations or extraterrestrial assistance to explain the construction of the pyramids. Mainstream archaeologists contend that the Egyptians had the necessary skills, tools, and knowledge to build the pyramids using simple methods such as ramps, levers, and an organized labor force. They point to the gradual evolution of pyramid building techniques, starting with smaller, earlier pyramids and culminating in the construction of the Great Pyramid. In this view, the Egyptians did not inherit the pyramids from a lost civilization but rather developed the skills to build them over time through trial and error. Despite these mainstream explanations, the sheer number of anomalies and unexplained features of the pyramids continues to fuel speculation. Whether through lost knowledge, advanced engineering techniques, or even extraterrestrial influence, the construction of the pyramids remains one of the greatest mysteries of human history. The question of whether the pyramids were built by an unknown civilization or represent a lost chapter of human technological history continues to intrigue researchers and the public alike. As we explore these theories and controversies, one thing becomes clear: the pyramids are far more than just monumental tombs. They represent a pinnacle of ancient engineering, astronomy, and mathematics, and their construction may hold the key to understanding much more about the capabilities of ancient civilizations, and possibly even the origins of human knowledge itself. The Pyramid Code, is it a global phenomenon? The Egyptian pyramids are not unique in the ancient world. In fact, pyramidal structures can be found across the globe, from the Mesoamerican civilizations of the Maya and Aztec to ancient China and even in places like Sudan and Cambodia. This raises an intriguing question. Is the pyramid design a coincidence, or does it suggest that ancient civilizations shared a common source of knowledge or inspiration? Could there have been a global exchange of ideas and technologies that spread the pyramid building practice across continents, or is it simply a reflection of parallel development? The most famous pyramids outside of Egypt are those built by the Maya and Aztec civilizations in Mesoamerica. Like their Egyptian counterparts, these pyramids were monumental in scale and served both religious and ceremonial purposes. The Pyramid of the Sun, located in the ancient city of Teotihuacan in Mexico, rivals the Great Pyramid of Giza in size, standing at over 200 feet tall. The Maya pyramids, such as those found at Chichen Itza and Tikal, were similarly impressive and often aligned with astronomical phenomena, much like the Egyptian pyramids. One of the most striking similarities between the pyramids of Egypt and those of Mesoamerica is their alignment with the stars and the calendar. The Pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza, for instance, is designed in such a way that during the spring and fall equinoxes, the setting sun casts a shadow in the shape of a serpent slithering down the pyramid staircase. This alignment with celestial events mirrors the precision seen in the alignment of the Egyptian pyramids with Orion's belt and other significant stars. These parallels suggest that the builders of both cultures had a deep understanding of astronomy and incorporated that knowledge into their monumental structures. But how could civilizations separated by vast oceans and thousands of miles come to build such similar structures? One theory is that the pyramid shape is a natural architectural solution for building large, stable structures. The pyramid's wide base and tapering design provide excellent structural stability, allowing ancient builders to create tall monuments without the need for advanced construction materials or techniques. In this view, the pyramid is simply an efficient and practical design that was independently discovered by multiple civilizations around the world. However, this explanation doesn't fully account for the similarities in the astronomical alignments, measurements, and religious symbolism associated with pyramids across different cultures. This has led some researchers to propose that there may have been a shared source of knowledge or inspiration that spread across the ancient world. One possibility is that ancient seafarers, long before the time of Columbus or even the Vikings, traveled across oceans, spreading their knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and religion. This theory is supported by the fact that many ancient civilizations, including the Egyptians, Mesoamericans, and Chinese, were known to be skilled navigators and seafarers. The idea of ancient global trade and cultural exchange is not as far-fetched as it might seem. Archaeological evidence has shown that long-distance trade routes existed in ancient times, connecting civilizations that were once thought to have been isolated from one another. For instance, the ancient Silk Road linked China with the Middle East and Europe, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies over thousands of miles. Similarly, evidence of trade between the ancient peoples of the Mediterranean and sub-Saharan Africa suggests that knowledge and cultural practices could have spread across vast distances. Another possibility is that the pyramid building tradition originated from a single, now lost civilization that passed down its knowledge to later cultures. This theory is closely related to the idea of a global seafaring civilization, often referred to as Atlantis, which Plato famously described in his dialogues. According to this theory, Atlantis was an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years before recorded history and was responsible for spreading knowledge of pyramid building, mathematics, and astronomy to other ancient cultures before it was destroyed in a cataclysmic event. While the existence of Atlantis remains speculative, Some researchers point to similarities between ancient structures around the world as evidence that a lost civilization could have influenced the development of later societies. The pyramids of Egypt, Mesoamerica, and even China all share common features, such as their precise alignments with celestial bodies, the use of complex mathematics in their construction, and their association with religious or spiritual practices. These shared traits suggest that the knowledge required to build such structures may have originated from a common source, whether it was a lost civilization like Atlantis or a network of ancient seafarers who carried ideas across the globe. The ancient pyramids of China offer another intriguing example of this phenomenon. Located in the Shaanxi province, the pyramids of Xi'an, while less well known than those of Egypt and Mesoamerica, are nonetheless impressive in their scale and design. Some of these pyramids are believed to be the burial sites of ancient Chinese emperors, and like the pyramids of Egypt, they are aligned with specific astronomical events. The Great White Pyramid, for example, is said to have been aligned with the constellation Draco, which held great significance in Chinese cosmology. Similarly, in Sudan, the ancient kingdom of Kush built more than 200 pyramids, known as the Nubian Pyramids, near the city of Meroe. Although these pyramids are smaller than their Egyptian counterparts, they share many of the same architectural features and were used as tombs for the kings and queens of Kush. The proximity of the Nubian pyramids to Egypt has led some researchers to suggest that the Kushites may have been influenced by the Egyptians, but others argue that the Kushites developed their own pyramid building tradition independently. Yet another example comes from Cambodia, where the massive temple complex of Angkor Wat features pyramid-like structures and a layout that aligns with the sun and moon's movements. Built by the Khmer Empire in the 12th century, Angkor Wat is considered one of the most impressive architectural achievements in the ancient world. The temple's central tower, which rises above the surrounding structures, resembles a pyramid and symbolizes Mount Meru, a sacred mountain in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. The presence of pyramids in such diverse and distant cultures raises the question of whether these structures are part of a global architectural code or simply a result of parallel evolution. Could the pyramid shape have arisen independently in different cultures due to its practical design and symbolic meaning, or is there more to the story? Some researchers believe that these structures are evidence of a forgotten global network of knowledge, one that connected ancient peoples in ways that we are only beginning to understand. In conclusion, the presence of pyramids across the world, from Egypt to Mesoamerica, China, Sudan, and Cambodia, suggests that the pyramid was not just a local phenomenon but a global one. Whether these structures were built independently as a result of parallel development or were inspired by a shared source of knowledge remains a subject of ongoing debate. What is clear, however, is that the pyramid represents one of the most enduring and universal symbols of ancient human achievement, one that continues to inspire awe and curiosity to this day. Finally, what we can learn from lost civilizations. As we've journeyed through the mysteries of ancient civilizations, one thing has become abundantly clear: the achievements of these long-lost societies challenge our understanding of human history and technological progress. From the grandeur of the Egyptian pyramids to the engineering marvels of Teotihuacan and the precise craftsmanship of Puma Punku, it is evident that ancient peoples possessed knowledge and skills that rival, and in some cases, surpass our own. The exploration of lost technologies and forgotten civilizations forces us to confront an uncomfortable possibility, that human progress is not always a linear march forward. Instead, it can be a complex web of advances, setbacks, and forgotten innovations. Civilizations have risen and fallen throughout history, often leaving behind only the most enduring physical monuments of their existence. The knowledge, tools, and techniques they once possessed were often lost in the collapse of their societies, erased by war, natural disasters, or the passage of time. However, the very fact that we are still discovering new aspects of these ancient civilizations shows that the pursuit of knowledge is never truly finished. Every archaeological discovery brings us closer to understanding the past, and in doing so, it offers valuable lessons for the present and future. The advanced technologies and knowledge of these civilizations, whether in construction, astronomy, or metallurgy, suggest that human potential has always been vast, and that even the most difficult challenges can be overcome with ingenuity, determination, and a deep understanding of the world around us. One of the most profound lessons we can learn from the study of lost ancient technologies is the importance of preserving knowledge. The destruction of places like the Library of Alexandria and the abandonment of cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Tikal remind us of how fragile human progress can be. In our own era, where digital records have largely replaced physical ones, we face the challenge of ensuring that future generations will have access to the vast stores of knowledge we are accumulating. The collapse of past civilizations and the loss of their technologies should serve as a cautionary tale for us to safeguard our own advancements. Another important lesson from the study of ancient civilizations is the role that nature plays in human progress. Many of the civilizations we've discussed flourished in harmony with the natural world, whether through the precise alignment of structures with celestial bodies or their advanced water management systems. These societies had a deep understanding of their environment and were able to use that knowledge to build structures and systems that stood the test of time. Today, as we face environmental challenges such as climate change, we might do well to look to these ancient examples for inspiration. The ability to harness natural forces, whether through sustainable agriculture, green building techniques, or renewable energy, could be the key to solving many of the problems we face in the modern world. The enduring fascination with lost civilizations and ancient technologies also reveals something fundamental about human nature: our desire to explore, to discover, and to understand the unknown. The pyramids, the temples, and the monuments left behind by these ancient peoples still captivate our imaginations, not only because of their immense physical presence but also because they represent the ingenuity and ambition of our ancestors. They remind us that we, too, are capable of great things, and that the pursuit of knowledge and innovation is as old as humanity itself. As we move further into the 21st century, our own society is becoming increasingly reliant on technology, often to the point of forgetting the lessons of the past. The study of lost civilizations challenges us to think about the future of our own technological advancements. Will our achievements endure, or will they, too, be lost to time? What if future generations look back on us with the same wonder and curiosity with which we regard the Egyptians or the Maya? The exploration of lost ancient technologies forces us to consider our place in the grand timeline of human history and reminds us that knowledge, once lost, is difficult to recover. Yet, there is hope. The mysteries of ancient civilizations, while still shrouded in uncertainty, also offer inspiration. The fact that these ancient peoples were able to accomplish so much with what we now consider to be limited tools and resources speaks to the boundless potential of human creativity and perseverance. It reminds us that great achievements often come from working within the constraints of the moment, using ingenuity to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The advanced knowledge of the ancients, whether in building pyramids aligned with the stars, creating rust-resistant iron, or developing early forms of concrete, was not lost forever. We are rediscovering these technologies and, in some cases, building upon them. For instance, modern architects and engineers are studying ancient construction techniques to develop more durable and sustainable materials. Scientists are exploring ancient agricultural practices, such as terracing and crop rotation, to create more efficient and environmentally friendly farming methods. In this way, the knowledge of the ancients is still alive, continuing to inform and inspire our modern world. As we conclude this journey through lost ancient technologies, we are left with more questions than answers. How much more is still waiting to be uncovered? What other forgotten technologies lie buried beneath the sands of time? While we may never fully solve these mysteries, the search itself is an essential part of the human experience. It pushes us to explore, to learn, and to expand the boundaries of our understanding. Ultimately, the study of lost civilizations and ancient technologies reminds us that history is not just a record of what has been done, but also a guide for what is possible. The ancients achieved wonders with the tools and knowledge available to them, and we can do the same today, if we remain curious, if we continue to seek out new knowledge, and if we are willing to learn from the past.